A dual SIM phone allows you to use two SIM cards simultaneously, providing flexibility for managing multiple phone numbers, networks, or data plans within a single device. This can be useful for separating work and personal calls, traveling internationally without incurring roaming charges, or switching between different network providers for better coverage. A dual SIM phone is a device that can hold and operate two eSIMs at once. This means you can have two distinct phone numbers or active data plans simultaneously. From efficiently managing personal and work communication to leveraging different network providers for better coverage, there are many reasons to use two SIM cards at once. There are a few key configurations to be aware of when it comes to dual SIM setups. Here's a breakdown of the main types. Dual SIM dual standby, DSDS. Both SIMs are on standby, ready to receive calls or messages. However, only one SIM can be actively used for a call or data session at any given time. For instance, if you're on a call using SIM 1, SIM 2 will be temporarily unavailable. Dual SIM dual active, DSDA. A more advanced setup where both SIMs can be active simultaneously. You can receive a call on one SIM while using mobile data on the second SIM, or even answer a call on the second SIM while the first is on hold. Some mobile phones support use of two SIM cards, described as dual SIM operation. When a second SIM card is installed, the phone may allow users to switch between two separate mobile network services manually, have hardware support for keeping both connections in a standby state for automatic switching, or have two transceivers to maintain both network connections at once. Dual SIM phones are mainstream in many countries where phones are normally sold unlocked. Dual SIMs are popular for separating personal and business calls, in locations where lower prices apply to calls between clients of the same provider, where a single network may lack comprehensive coverage, and for travel across national and regional borders. In countries where dual SIM phones are the norm, people who require only one SIM leave the second SIM slot empty. Dual SIM phones usually have two unique IMEI numbers, one for each SIM slot. Devices that use more than two SIM cards have also been developed and released, notably the LG A290 triple SIM phone and even handsets that support 4 SIMs such as the Cherry Mobile Quad Q70. The first phone to include dual SIM functionality was the Benephone Twin, released by Benephone in 2000. More dual SIM phones were introduced in about 2007, most of them coming from small Chinese firms producing phones using MediaTek systems on a chip. They started to attract mainstream attention. Such phones were initially eschewed by major manufacturers due to potential pressure from telecommunications companies, but from about 2010 Nokia, Samsung, Sony, and several others followed suit, with the Nokia C2-00, Nokia C1-00, and Nokia C2-03 and most notably the Nokia X, phones from Samsung's Duo series and the Sony Xperia Z3 Dual, Sony Xperia C and Tipo Dual. Apple added dual SIM support in its 2018 iPhone XS models, with models sold in China containing two physical SIM slots, and models sold elsewhere supporting dual SIM by means of embedded eSIM alongside a single physical SIM. Operation. For originating communications via the mobile phone network, the way to choose which SIM is used may vary on different phones. For example, one can be selected as primary or default for making calls, and one, which could be the same one, for data. Apple phones supporting dual SIMs can be set up to automatically use a specific SIM for each contact or the same one used for the last call to the contact, for iMessage and for FaceTime. Typically when dialing or sending a message, an option to select a SIM is displayed. Types. Adapters. Prior to the introduction of dual SIM phones, adapters that fit in the SIM card slot and hold two SIMs, with provision to switch between them when required. Passive. In dual SIM switch phones, such as the Nokia C1-00, only one SIM, selected by the user, is active at any time. It is not possible to receive or make calls on the inactive SIM. Standby. Dual SIM dual standby, DSDS, Phones allow both SIMs to be accessed by using time multiplexing. When one SIM is in active use, for example on a call, the modem locks to it, leaving the other SIM unavailable. Older examples of dual SIM standby phones include the Samsung Galaxy S Duos, the Sony Xperia M2 Dual and the iPhone XS, XS Max, and iPhone XR. Active. Dual SIM Dual Active, DSDA, phones have two transceivers, and can receive calls on both SIM cards, at the cost of increased battery consumption and more complex hardware. One example is the HTC Desire 600. Unequal connectors. Some telephones have a primary and a secondary SIM slot that support different generations of connectivity. For example, 4G and 3G primary, and 3G and 2G secondary, or 5G and 5G, or 5G and 4G. Selecting either of the SIMs as primary is usually possible without physically swapping the SIMs. Some phone models utilize a hybrid SIM tray, which can hold either two SIM cards, or one SIM card and one microSD memory card. The Huawei iMate 20 range introduced a proprietary memory card format called nano memory, exactly the size and shape of a nano SIM card. Some devices accept dual SIMs of different form factors. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 4 has a hybrid dual SIM tray that accepts one micro SIM card and one nano SIM card, the latter of which can be swapped for a microSD card. Market. Dual SIM phones have become popular especially with business users due to reduced costs by being able to use two different networks, with one possibly for personal use or based on signal strength or cost, without requiring several phones. Availability. Some subcontract Chinese companies supply inexpensive dual SIM handsets, mainly in Asian countries. The phones, which also usually include touchscreen interfaces and other modern features, typically retail for a much lower price than branded models. While some such phones are sold under generic names or are rebadged by smaller companies under their own brand, numerous manufacturers, especially in China, produce phones, including dual SIM models, under counterfeit trademarks such as those of Nokia or Samsung, either as cosmetically identical clones of the originals, or in completely different designs, with the logo of a notable manufacturer present in order to take advantage of brand recognition or brand image. Dual SIM phones are common in developing countries, especially in China, Southeast Asia, and the Indian subcontinent, with local firms like Carbon Mobiles, Life, Micromax and Cherry Mobile releasing feature phones and smartphones incorporating multiple SIM slots. The French Wiko Mobile is also an example of rebadged Chinese dual SIM phones sold in few European countries as well as in Northwest Africa. Usage. Dual SIM phones have been rare in countries where phones have been usually sold on contract, as the carriers selling those phones prevent SIMs from competing carriers from being used with the phones. However, dual SIMs have been popular in locations where people normally buy phones directly from manufacturers. In such places there is little lock-in to carrier networks, and the costs of having two phone numbers are much lower. Dual SIM phones allow separate numbers for personal and business calls on the same handset. Access to multiple networks is useful for people living in places where a single network's coverage may prove inadequate or unreliable. They are also useful in places where lower prices apply to calls between clients of the same provider. Dual SIM phones allow users to keep separate contact lists on each SIM, and allow easier roaming by being able to access a foreign network while keeping the existing local card. Vendors of foreign SIMs for travel often promote dual SIM operation, with a home country and local SIM in the same handset. Key benefits. Multiple phone numbers. Use separate numbers for work and personal use, eliminating the need for two phones. Travel convenience. Avoid high roaming fees by using a local SIM card in one slot while keeping your primary SIM active. Network flexibility. Switch between different network providers to get the best coverage or data plans in various locations. Cost savings. Combine different voice and data plans to optimize for your usage and potentially reduce overall costs. Convenience. Manage multiple lines without needing to switch phones or SIM cards. How dual SIM works. Dual SIM slots. Modern phones with dual SIM capabilities have two physical SIM card slots, or one physical and one eSIM. SIM management. You can manage which SIM is used for calls, texts, and data within your phone settings. Active vs. Standby. Some dual SIM phones support dual SIM active technology, meaning both SIMs can be active simultaneously, allowing for calls and texts on either line. Other phones may have one SIM active for data at a time, while the other can be used for calls and texts. Potential considerations. Storage. Some older or lower-end dual SIM phones may have limited storage space due to the inclusion of a second SIM slot. Battery life. Phones with dual SIM active capabilities may consume more battery power due to the simultaneous operation of both SIM cards. Benefits of using a dual SIM device. The key benefits of using a dual SIM device include: better coverage. Connect to two carriers, so if one has poor service, you can switch to the other for better signal. Cost savings. Select different plans from different carriers to get the best rates on data, calls, and texts. Convenient travel. Keep your home number active while using a local SIM to avoid high roaming charges. Disadvantages of using a dual SIM device. While dual SIM phones offer many benefits, they come with a few drawbacks. Faster battery drain. To maintain two active networks, your phone needs to work harder, which can drain the battery more quickly. Limited support for some apps. Some apps, particularly those that need a single phone number for account verification, may not work properly with a dual SIM. Increased complexity. Managing two SIMs and networks can be tricky, and you may have to manually switch settings for specific tasks like data usage or roaming. Higher price tag. Dual SIM card phones are often more expensive than single SIM devices, especially if they have additional features or more advanced designs. Despite these drawbacks, many users find that the added flexibility is worth the trade-off. Various manufacturers have recognized the demand for dual SIM functionality. Some examples of models in the market include offerings from major players like Samsung, Google, Motorola, Apple, and OnePlus. Benefits and drawbacks of a dual SIM phone. Dual SIM phones cater to a diverse range of user needs. For professionals, they offer the convenience of maintaining separate personal and business lines on a single device. Travelers can seamlessly use their primary SIM in tandem with a local SIM, becoming digital nomads and sidestepping hefty international roaming charges. Additionally, there's the advantage of cost optimization, as users can take advantage of varying network promotions or plans available across different carriers. However, the technology isn't without its considerations. Running two networks concurrently might lead to accelerated battery depletion. There's also the potential need for users to keep track of and manage contacts, call logs and messages across the two SIMs to avoid confusion. Moreover, one must be wary of compatibility issues, particularly if the two SIMs function on distinct network frequencies or standards. With technological advancements, the concept of SIM cards is evolving. The introduction of the eSIM, or electronic SIM, hints at a future where physical SIM cards might become obsolete. This development could redefine the traditional understanding of dual SIM phones, as users could potentially switch between networks digitally without the need for physical SIM card slots. The dual SIM phone, once a niche product, has found its place in the mainstream as communication needs have become more complex and varied. With its ability to offer flexibility and optimize costs, it caters to both professionals and everyday users alike. As with any technology, its evolution is ongoing, and the industry will continue to adapt to the changing needs of the global mobile user base. Thank you for watching this video.